We don't even know what they've done to her by now. They tell us she's alive, but in what state? I mean, she's at the FMC Carswell, which is known as the House of Horrors. When a lawyer tries to approach Aafia, the lawyers are told that Aafia does not wish to see them and they are not allowed to meet. They don't let anyone, for the past 4 years, they are not letting anyone meet Aafia. And that makes us very worried. Have they physically destroyed her? Have they mentally tortured her to a point that she is no more really and she's just there like a living dead or what?
Aafia is innocent. We want her back and we will not rest until we get her back.
My name is Dr. Aafia Siddiqui and I am a neurologist by profession, but people generally know me as the sister of Dr. Aafia Siddiqui.
Dr. Aafia Siddiqui is a Pakistani neurologist who studied in the United States and graduated from MIT in 1995. She received her PhD from Brandeis University in 2001 and briefly returned to Pakistan following the 9/11 attacks. The mysterious case of Aafia Siddiqui has become internationally known. She has been dubbed the daughter of Pakistan by some and Lady Al-Qaeda by others. Aafia has been convicted of multiple felonies and is serving an 86-year sentence at the Federal Medical Center Carswell in Texas.
Today is March 31st. This marks 18 years of Aafia's kidnapping and abduction. The prison has Aafia and they manipulate her in mysterious ways and horrifying ways.
The Siddiqui family says that Aafia was kidnapped by Pakistani agencies and subsequently handed over to American agencies.
Aafia returned in 2002 to Pakistan after completing her studies in the US. And then she was going to Islamabad with her 3 children. Ahmed was 5 years old, Mariam was 3 years old, and baby Suleiman was only 6 months old. She was going to Islamabad with her educational revolutionary system. She was taking that system to Islamabad to meet with the Senate chairperson when she was abducted. And then for 5 years, nobody knew what happened. And after that, in 2008, a British journalist by the name of Yvonne Ridley went to Afghanistan and there she discovered a Pakistani woman in Bagram, Business 650.
The Americans said there's no women in Bagram. They totally denied it. And I wasn't convinced because there were too many people who had seen and gave descriptions of this woman being held in Bagram.
When I was in Bagram during the year of 2002, I used to hear the sounds of a woman screaming in the interrogation rooms where I was at.
When she researched and tried to find out, they found out that this was Aafia Siddiqui. She came to Pakistan and a press conference was done, and our now Prime Minister was championing this cause and saying he will be the one who will free Aafia. Unfortunately, it's now 18 years since this whole incident and Aafia is still locked up.
For many, Aafia came to symbolize the atrocities linked to the so-called War on Terror, and her case exposed collaborations between Pakistani and U.S. authorities. Aafia was also the first woman to be sought by the FBI in connection with its pursuit of Al-Qaeda. After his arrest and interrogation under torture, Pakistani militant Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the principal architect of the 9/11 attacks, allegedly named Aafia a courier and financier for Al-Qaeda.
The only thing that I have heard of was her name was probably taken by, I think, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed or someone, and this was after 27 times waterboarding. And what he was reading was Allahumma salukal Aafia. It's a prayer, it's asking for peace and for serenity and just to be able to bear what's going on. And that is what he was praying for, and poor Aafia, having the same name, gets stuck with it. Unfortunately, all these things are all made up lies. They claim that Aafia married someone else. How could she, when the day she was kidnapped was the last day of her iddah? From the divorce of her first husband, she hadn't even gotten the final papers. They came after her kidnapping.
Then I went back into Afghanistan because we'd heard that she had emerged and there'd been a shootout.
When in 2008 it was found that Aafia was technically released according to the reports, and then she was shot by US servicemen. She was at the governor's house. She was being briefed to go when US servicemen came. Close range, 3 shots, some say 2. Anyway, she fell down and she was supposedly dead, but they found out that she was still alive, and then she was then taken from there to Bagram again, and then she was rendered, she was operated on and taken to the US. And there she was taken to a judge who immediately said that this is illegal. This is a Pakistani woman. How can a Pakistani woman be brought to the US without any paperwork? This is a clear case of rendition. Send her back.
This is an extremely traumatized human being who needs human rights and needs help. She needs to be taken out of a prison setting and put in a therapeutic medical setting. She needs her mother, among other things. She needs help, and she's not getting it.
Then a second judge by the name of Judge Richard Berman came in, and a new prosecutor, Preet Bharara, joined the team. And this team then reopened the case and charged Aafia.
Picture this woman who's very tiny and ask yourself how she engaged in armed conflict with 6 military men. You know, how did that happen? And how did she get shot? I think you can answer that, can't you?
We rely so much on science these days in criminal investigations. And according to the American soldiers who shot Aafia, they said that she grabbed their gun and shot at them. There was no GCI or gunshot residue found on Aafia's clothing, no gunshot residue on her hands. There was nothing to say that she had fired a gun.
Why was an alleged terrorist put behind a curtain and not behind bars? She was taken to the counter-terrorism questioning room. Why wasn't she secure? Why would these officers just walk in there? There are too many questions here for anyone to assume guilt. You must presume innocence.
Aafia was convicted of attempting to kill U.S. military personnel and was sentenced to 86 years in prison. Prosecutors used handwritten notes they said she was carrying in her purse at the time of her arrest, including recipes for making bombs and descriptions of New York City landmarks with references to attacks. According to court papers, she was also carrying sodium cyanide, a toxic substance.
Any of this was true, she would be charged for terrorism. Wouldn't that be very easy for them? The whole world would just be quiet that she's a terrorist. But even Judge Berman could not charge her with terrorism because none of this was true. All those stories are yellow journalism. Millions of people come out to streets for Aafia. Why does everyone, every election have Aafia? Because she appeals to the public. Aafia herself, when she was sentenced, she pleaded to the people, I want no violence in my name. I mean, Raymond Davis in Pakistan, he cold-bloodedly murdered 3 people right in the streets, just out of the blue. He just got angry and murdered. He was set free, and he's a hero in the US. Aafia killed nobody. She was shot, and yet they cover up and they lock her up for 86 years for a crime she didn't even commit. All the forensic evidence cleared Aafia. She was targeted because she was a brilliant Muslim woman whose only passion was to bring a change, to help little children learn.